me and you been going back and forth on do we discuss BCI or not, and you said today, let's discuss it. So, can
Well,
you give us some?
I'm happy to talk about anything really. And I've,
Yeah, well,
it's a
you
fire away.
you said that I didn't want to. This is me now. This is not Martin or anybody else.
Yeah,
I didn't want to bring things like this into the discussion because I want to highlight the good work that community councils and councillors can actually do. But I know there's been some questions asked, and I think, and Martin said today, come on, let's do it, let's get over it. So, can you give us some background on Bridgend County Independence?
well, County Independence is a group of like-minded people, independent of party politics. Some have never been of a party. Some have previously dabbled in party politics, but felt it wasn't for them. But the fundamental thing that binds, if that's the right word, unites them is the feeling that party politics has no place in local government. Certainly not tier one councils, and absolutely not community councils. And we've all seen the councils where if there's not, even if it's not whipped, there is definitely party discipline and single thinking and group think and that sort of thing. And where it came about, I hadn't long been elected. I'm not going to name any names because it's not for me to name people, but I was approached by wasn't a town councillor then, but someone who had an interest in doing something similar in the town council. And we had a number of conversations and what it started with was look, the parties, and I think Alex talked about this as well, didn't he? The parties have a massive advantage when it comes to fighting elections. They've got the organisation, they've got the money, they know how it works. Yeah, they know what forms to fill in, they know what to put in your leaflet, not what. Yeah, and so you're independent. And I found this when I first started. You start from scratch, and first of all, you've got to learn how to call an election, then you've got to know how to be nominated, and if you don't put an imprint on the bottom of your leaflet, you risk the police coming to your door, and they will, and they will, so it was a support group, for want of a better word, for people who wanted to stand for election, but perhaps either felt they'd be picked off by the parties, because we've seen that happen, or they just simply didn't know how to negotiate and navigate their way around the bureaucracy. And so that's where it started. And just before the 2017 elections, or 6 months before, there was that infamous stone bridge photo where we had a number of us were there at the very beginning, which then grew into a larger group of independents. And we were all completely disparate, but as I said, some from parties, some from none, some who hadn't really met each other. I don't know what I don't think any of them, I don't know what they stand for on Brexit or Trident, or, I think basically they're good people. But I don't know where they stand on some of the big political issues. But what I do know is that they were all motivated by wanting to make a difference in their communities, but not as a party. And so that's what it's all about. And of course, in the run-up to that election then, which was then called Change for Bridgend, because we wanted to bring change for Bridgend, simple as that, do what it says on the tin. Well, of course, then you're being criticised then. But and this is why, this is what made it was almost self-fulfilling. Well, of course, as a group of independents, you can't have any policies, can you? Well, we can actually, because I forget how many people coalesced around that. It was 20 something candidates that sort of stood under our banner. So we did manage to find policies that we could coalesce around. Oh, well, that means you're a party. It's not, because we're not a party, are we? We never have been, and there never would be. The only advantage to being a party is that you get your name on the ticket, on the ballot. We're not that. We just prove at that time. You can work together, and you can find policies that you can coalesce around and agree around. And because then you need a website or a Facebook page, and you communicate your policies. And like any communication strategy or group or any group affiliates or whatever you want to call people, you're there for a purpose, aren't you? And so you highlight what you think is wrong, and you try and put an alternative view across. But I think it's really important, and there's a big common misconception. I don't think you should look at, anyway, about a year later, they changed names to Bridgend County Independence to better reflect where people stood, because there are people up in Garrow, people up in Ogmore Valley, Valley's Gateway. That's the word for it, isn't it? And all over the place, and they didn't feel that Bridgend was too Bridgend centric, and the name changed, and that's it. There seems to be a lot of mystique and mystery around it. That's it. That's as simple as that. And some people find it a bit pointy, and some people like it very much. And some people say, "Oh, you're right-wing fascist or something." Well, I'm certainly not that. And most of the people I associate with certainly are not that, and I wouldn't associate them if they were. It's complete nonsense. I think it's changed things. I think it's turned things upside down a bit. I think I'm a chartered engineer. I'm not known for my rebelliousness. That's not a career. That's not a profession that's known for being a rebellious, rabble-rousing profession. But I do like, as I'm getting older, let's upset the status quo. Let's change things. Let's turn a few tables over, and let's disrupt and deliver change. And that change is essentially trusting people and enabling those people to stand for election, and then trusting them to make a difference when they're there. And I know we've proven that in County Hire. County Hire is not BC, but what we have proven is that just because we didn't know each other very well, Luke, and I knew
we actually met because of change.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't really know what your views were on minimum wage, or, as I said, Trident, or
you still do.
Exactly. And I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask because it's unimportant. And what is important, that you've got the right in your Olympics thing now. Some the contributions you make in the community council, and your judgment, those things matter, and what motivates you matters. And anyway, that's what matters to me. Are you a good person? And are you well motivated? And that's what matters to me. But that's what it's about. And of course, it's kind of, some people don't like it, do they? Because sometimes it's been a bit pointy, and sometimes too pointy. I don't know. It depends who you ask, doesn't it?
You see a lot of comments. Well, you all work together, and you all think the same thing. We don't. Me and you have argued a few times over different things and different views on things within things. We certainly don't vote things the same way. If we agree, yes, but generally our council would pull in the same direction anyway. The whole of the council, the Labour members, the Lib Dem member, the Independents, we all seem to be heading in that same direction of doing things together to better our community. And I've got no problem with any party or things like that, but BCI have been criticised for what's been termed toxic politics, and in the beginning there was a bit of spikiness, I think it's called. It was getting yourselves known out there, getting your message aware, and it sometimes from not just BCI, and BCI members have done this. I'm one myself. In the past, I have commented, but I've never gone into the personal. I've criticised councillors, I've criticised policies, but I've never taken it to the personal. There are some people out there who do get drawn into that, unfortunately, not just on BCI side, but on the other sides as well, from everybody. And I don't like it when it gets personal, and it should never become a personal matter. Criticise the way people work as councillors, criticise policies, that's fair enough. And I think we, as BCI members, got caught up in the early days too much of the social media side of it, and arguing started going back and forth between not just members of BCI and councillors from other parties, but ordinary people as well. And yes, it is wrong, it is out of line, but it's not just one-sided. I've been told it's one-sided, that it comes all from BCI, and I admit there are times when I've criticised councillors and I've criticised policies, but if you criticise a policy, oppose a policy, that is not toxic. That is just saying, well, we don't agree with that regardless of the thing.
Yeah, I think... No, I agree. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I don't agree with... It's like the last election. BCI did put policies up of what they would do. I didn't agree with them all. I wouldn't have voted for them all. Some I did like. And if I was a county councillor at that point, if they were coming to it, it would be what would be best for the residents of my area. And that should be the only focus of every councillor. Not or what's best for the county.
And in that situation, as we are in County Hire, we would have worked, I presume, and still could work, to change those or fettle those policies to make them work. And then ultimately, if they couldn't be made to work, then you vote as you see fit.
Yeah, and this is my argument with party politics at this level. That it should, nationally, yes, you need party politics. There's no other way for it. But locally, it should be about what's best for your residents and best for the county, not what does your party want you to do.
I sat in a
and it's not just one party; it's all parties that decide. Well, this is the way we want you to vote or decide. Then that's the way you do it. If not, we're going to rethink about who we're going to stand at the next election.
I how do I say this without? Look, I'll just have to say it, won't I? Because I don't want to criticise people. I know it'll be personal.
No.
I was on one council and we had a co-option. Narrows it down. And I can't remember exactly the circumstances, but there was a Labour candidate who didn't get voted for by another Labour candidate, and a sitting Labour councillor. That was it. A sitting Labour councillor abstained because there were two Labour candidates for co-option. I think there was certainly one Labour candidate, and they abstained because they felt they didn't know enough about that candidate, which I felt was reasonable. And a senior colleague of theirs on that council said, well, this will be discussed in the next branch meeting. I started going, what the hell is this? Is this a Sopranos or what? Because that's what it felt like. And I just thought, well, really? Yeah, and so, don't say it doesn't happen. No. But, to go back to the whole point is, sorry, I have an email pop up. I was a bit nervous in case I pressed the wrong button.
Hang on a minute, your internet's going again. I think his internet's gone.
People,
hang on. You're frozen, Martin. Well, until we get him back. He's back.
Sorry, my internet's... What happened? I had a work email and I had a work email and it just made everything go wrong. So BCI, whatever you want to call it, supporting people to navigate their way through the election process, providing support when advice. If someone says to me, I wouldn't offer advice. No. But if someone came to me and said, what should I do in this situation? I said, well, I think this. Should I have said that? You probably shouldn't have said that. What shall I do now? Well, this is what you probably want to do now. But also I think it's a very important thing to where's the opposition to the administration in BCI and BCPC? I don't really see it. Who's pointing out the flaws in originally in the bin contract? The fact that the penalty points would, they weren't levying penalties in line with the penalty points. Who's pointing out these things? Who's pointing out the 500% sports pitch increase? Who is doing that? And I could talk about a lot of things along those lines that cause a great deal of upset. But of course, if you're pushing out these policies and they're just happening, and you've got full control of your council, and it's just happening, and it's a fait accompli, well, someone needs to point these things out. And if that is toxic politics, well, I'm very sorry about that. But the public have a right to know what's going on, and an administration should expect to be challenged. And I've seen some posts recently, and it's very direct now. It's almost like a Cold War.
Yeah.
I've seen a BCI post yesterday which questioned the efficiency of paying grants. Today you see a Labour Party post coming out defending the council for. Yeah. So what's wrong with that? Healthy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Healthy. No, and if it's pointy, well, it's only pointy because it's pointy. I've been there. I see it. I see there'll be questions on Facebook saying, that new footpath you put in, it's just too narrow. Oh no, waste of time, waste of money. And I go,
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, but that's right. We spent 40 grand on that, so someone, they're fully entitled to be critical of it. So it's the same. But take it all the way back to brass tacks. I met with someone last night who wants to stand for election in a forthcoming by-election. They received the nomination pack, and God, I don't know. By the time it was printed out, 30 pages, certainly 20 pages. Couldn't make head or tail of it. 3 forms. That's all they needed. 3 forms. Pulled out the 3 forms. Fill in this. Don't bother with that. This, that. This means that. Done. That nomination pack now will that'll be completed. It'll be compliant, and if they presumably they decide to go ahead with it, there'll be a legitimate candidate there. That's really valuable service, I think, because no one else is really helping you with that. And then if they want to put a flyer out, there'll be support to say, well, this is legal. You shouldn't say that. Actually, make sure this imprint's on there. What's an imprint? It's one of these. Did you know you can get the electoral register? All of these things. I mean, you wouldn't know that, I don't think, unless you were very well researched. And I think that's an extremely valuable service. And have we deviated? That's the other question. Have we deviated away from those first aims? Maybe on occasion. I think maybe there has been occasion, and I think some people were associated with this in the beginning, are no longer associated with it, and I think that's a crying shame. The people I respect greatly are not. And are there people sometimes who say a bit, this is something a bit spicy? Yeah, maybe. But are we dealing with, everyone's entitled. Everyone is entitled to say what they want. We know that's legal and inoffensive, and everyone is frankly entitled to make an idiot of themselves. So should they choose, All I would say is I don't want racists, and I don't want bigots, and I don't want anything along those lines, really. As long as people are well motivated and act within the law and are respectful to a point, but not respectful regardless of people's failings, then carry on and let the electorate decide whether they like that or not.
Yeah, it's not a case of if you're BCI you hate all party councillors or party members. Not in the slightest, is it? There are lots of councillors that I've met, both community and county, part of parties, that I think are fantastic councillors and are trying to do the best for their constituents. And that's but you do get the criticism, oh, you're BCI, you just hate parties.
Oh, well, I think, it's like you're not going to get rid of parties. And again, it's
No.
undemocratic. It's undemocratic, yeah? So I think the ideal situation is that every councillor should be independent. But if you passed a law saying that every councillor should be independent, for example, that would be deeply undemocratic.
Yeah.
Because if someone wants to be a member of a party, well, it's their right. And if people want to vote for that person, it's their right. I just don't think it's healthy when, there's an assumption that because you're a member of the party, you will then get in because it's a safe seat. You're there, you're in that group, and I don't think democracy is well served by that. It's as simple as that. I think the other misconception is that, BCI are anti-Labour. Well, yeah, I get why that's seen. I get why that's seen. But if a single party, which in this instance is the Labour Party, is the opposition and has run that council in its current form for 21 out of 25 years, well, you're not going to be anti the people who aren't running it, are you? Do you know what I mean? If you've got problems with an organisation that's been run by a certain party or political grouping, then well, yeah, you're going to be challenging them. It doesn't mean you're pro-conservative or pro-UKIP or is that still a thing? Or Brexit Party, is that still a thing? It doesn't mean that. It just means that you are highlighting the failings of a organisation that has been run by a certain party for so long. As simple as that. No more, no less. Doesn't mean we don't like Corbyn or we prefer Keir Starmer or we all like Boris. It doesn't mean that at all.
No, well, we've not just been accused. BCI haven't been just accused of anti-Labour, but also anti-Conservatives as well for certain things. But when we've seen certain supporting of policies that we don't agree with, and it's not just us. If it was just individually me, I hated what BCBC does, or the Labour Council, or a Conservative-led council, or whatever. If it was just me on my own, it would be just my voice. But it's not just me. There are residents who don't want to get involved. Who's going to speak for them? Because if it's a normal councillor, or who has been there before unchallenged and still there unchallenged, I'm not going to listen to them if they don't want things.
I'm mindful of time, but as you said, who is challenging the waste contract if it's not, and who is challenging the when a couple of years ago when we were on about all the sports fields were put into the draft as candidate sites for the LDP, who highlighted that? The Conservatives didn't highlight it. No one else highlighted it, and had those not been highlighted, would they still be in there? I think there's an important role there, and I think the Bridgend County Independence Group offers a platform and a vehicle for those things to be highlighted. And if you don't like, if you can't stand by the decisions and the policies that you're enacting, in this case, not just proposing, then maybe you're in the wrong business, frankly. Go and do something else. If you're putting something forward which will materially change someone's life, and you can't defend that, well, that's tough, isn't it?
Anyway,